So good afternoon. Once again, this is our ATTAC webinar series that is aimed at preparing teachers in and outside the classroom, for promotion in terms of being given, different status in terms of promotion or aiding them to, help, teach in the classroom as expected. And so we've been doing this, and the main theme for this is preparing for promotion. And under this, our main objective has been to create awareness of teacher education policies among teachers, examine the essence of teacher education policies, contribute to continuous professional development of teachers, and promote professional teaching standards among teachers. And today, our main topic that we'll be looking at today, that we'll be discussing, is applying the national teaching standards for Ghana. I mean the guidelines. It is not introduction to, it is applying the national teaching standards for Ghana guidelines. How are we going to apply it? And I will just be the facilitators. We have discussants who will be engaged. They include our own brain, L. Dr. Nenchi. We also have L. Dr. Sumaila, L. Dr. Benjamin Kwasi, and many others. So I will present the names as and when they take their stand to do that. So our specific objective this afternoon is to discuss how the National Teaching Standards Guideline will be applied in and outside the classroom. And to start with, we're just going to look at an overview of the standards to just help guide our discussion. And when we ask, what are the standards for? As we did in the previous webinar, we said the standards are meant to set out the minimum level of practice that all trained teachers must reach by the end of their pre-service education, in order to play such a crucial role. So that is what the standards have. Besides, it's the standards were made to inform teacher development while in their first year as beginning teachers on their induction course in schools prior to licensing as professional teachers by the National Teaching Council, and provide a framework for the future professional and career development of all teachers. And these standards should be seen as a common core set of standards that apply to all teachers at all levels, be it university, colleges of education, or whatever, because we're going to apply it, in our teaching and in even training of students. And who are, in this case, we're asking, another question: who are the standards for? As we have indicated, is for all teachers, all student teachers on pre-service, training courses, all practicing teachers in schools who are covered by the 2016 new NTC framework for career progression and promotion. And it's also for the National Teaching Council, so that they will use it in assessing cases of any misconduct by any member of the teaching profession. And all those institutions involved in training and development of teachers, including universities, colleges, both public and private, vocational, technical, and other academic institutions. Teacher educators, lecturers, tutors, district education directors, circuit supervisors, teacher unions, head teachers, and mentors in schools, because it will help them in their work. Yes, so that's it. And what is the main philosophy that underpins these standards? Now, the standards are designed to codify, what a good teacher looks like for Ghana, right? So when we say this is a good teacher, what are we looking forward to? Is it selected based on maybe the political party he belongs, or the acquaintances they have, or we have for ourselves certain standards, right? So these standards, these are the parameters based on which we are going to judge that this is a good teacher, and this is not a good teacher or something of that sort. So it will help in recognizing the agent need to improve the quality of the school experiences and learning outcomes for all learners, and to raise the status of teachers in their communities and in the country. Now, the teaching standards is organized on 3 major pillars. It has 3 main domains, if you like. One is professional values and attitudes. Simple and short, it is values and attitudes. It caters for what? Values and attitudes. Values, and attitudes as a profession or as a professional. Then we look at knowledge. I mean, professional knowledge of the teaching profession, right? So the professional knowledge that you have. Then we have practice. As a professional, what is the main practice? So 3 main things: values and attitudes, knowledge, and practice. So we're going to look at under professional values and attitudes. What are the main things there? Under professional values and attitudes, professional development is key, and then community of practice is also key. Then we go to the next one, the second domain, that is professional knowledge. Under professional knowledge, we look at knowledge of educational curriculum, educational frameworks and curriculum, and then knowledge of students. I mean, the knowledge of the student that you teach, because that will help you in your delivery in terms of quality, in terms of aiding students' understanding. Then the third domain, or if you like, the third pillar, is managing the learning environment, and then the teaching and the learning. Fellow discussants, this is the major pillars we are going to look at today. But under each pillar, there are sub-things, or if you like, there are indicators, specific things that the council expects or the standard expect that you should reach it, and that is what we are going to discuss. And to make our discussion simple and straightforward, we will just go through them and then we start it. I remember under professional practice too, it also looks at assessment. So let's look at this. Under professional values and attitudes, we have professional development. And under professional development, these are the teachers are to critically and collectively reflect to improve teaching and learning. That is one of the indicators there. The second one is to improve, or teachers improve personal and professional development through lifelong learning and continuous professional development. Then teachers demonstrate effective growing leadership qualities in the classroom and wider school. So at this juncture, I will invite your explanation to this, so that we discuss this and then we move forward for understanding of our colleagues. So let's look at under professional values and attitudes. One of the main points is professional development, and these are the 3 things that are under it: critically and collectively reflect to improve teaching and learning, improve personal and professional development through lifelong learning, and what have you, and then demonstrate effective growing leadership qualities. So please, I'm taking your views on this. Yeah, Kwasi, please, your comments.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'd like to comment on the first one under the professional development, what the teacher or teachers are supposed to critically and collectively reflect to improve on teaching and learning. This particular one, when you look at it carefully, it's looking at the teacher as an individual doing what we call the reflective teaching or reflective practice, having thoughts for the day or having in a lesson. What do you do as a teacher? You now reflect on the methodologies that you use, how you assess your students, the students' participation or involvement in the teaching and learning of that lesson that you delivered. See who needed more help for understanding, who has grasped the concepts more, what level should you put that particular learner a step beyond the class, or what activities would you want to add or bring on board to help those who are weak in the class. So as a teacher, you have that individual reflective kind of teaching to do or practice to do after each lesson to assess or evaluate the lesson that you have taught and how to make it better. Then the second thing in there is the collective practice, that is having thoughts, and there is, let's say, break time as a teachers. How do you now bring on board some of the challenges or some of the strategies that you developed or used in your teaching and bring it up as a discussion within your unit? It could be between two or more teachers, and then you find out how best to deal with the challenge, especially when it comes to behavioral management, and then dealing with learners with some special needs, learners who have to be given more attention in order for them to grasp certain concepts or what have you. So that community that you will form as teachers, two or more of you coming together to reflect upon any lesson or whatsoever teaching and learning activity that has taken place in the classroom or the school environment, reflecting and coming out with strategies to make the teaching and learning better, to benefit the learners, to bring results, be able to achieve the goals that you intended achieving as a school or as a department, will be the collective reflectives that will have to take place. So these are two things. One, the teacher himself will need to do some kind of reflective practice. And then two, teachers who come together to reflect upon some challenges or strategies to make the teaching and learning more better. In our case, we are artists, so we have the visual art department, and teachers within the visual art department who have that collective reflective to improve teaching and learning of the courses in the department. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's great. Please, any other contribution? No, Dr. Anenchi.
All right, Doc. I would like to throw more light on community of practice. I think that for the community of practice, teachers must also acquire knowledge in ways of liaising with parents, particularly parents of children with disabilities, to improve inclusivity. Again, we should be able to relate well with our colleagues, so that we can prepare well and at some point in time do co-teaching or joint teaching, so that our learners will benefit from the various styles of the teachers they meet in their classroom. Again, the teachers must also make themselves role models. Whatever they do, teachers must understand that children will be learning from them. And for that matter, they should conduct themselves very well. They should be aware and mindful of the ethical issues, legal issues, code of conduct, of teaching. These are basic knowledge I think teachers should have. Basic values and attitudes teachers must adopt, so that at the end of your training as a teacher, you should be able to handle your class well. Of course, class management should be something every teacher, by the time you graduate from a teacher training institution, should have. You should be able to manage your class very well. Know what is good, know what is bad, understand how your students behave. Again, you should also be able to manage all activities that go on in the classroom, particularly group work among students. You should be able to understand how students behave and also control your class as such. And so this is what I want to add to community of practice. Of course, your classroom environment becomes your community. And for that matter, parents of your learners, colleagues, the school management committee, and even the professional association you belong to, you should be able to understand how to work with all these individuals. Basically, the involvement of all these people will determine how successful your teaching and learning activities will be. Thank you very much, Doc.
Yeah, thank you. So with that, it means that you being a teacher, that's not it. You should also, care about what others are, doing in the school, because we can only succeed when we are united. That's it. Honorable Brain, please, do you have any comments? Brain. Hello, Brain, can you hear us? Please unmute yourself. Okay, it seems Brain is not hearing us. So we go on. So that's it. I think, the discussants, they have touched on the major issues. Now, let me add that in terms of the reflective, it means that the reflection has to do with pre-teaching. Before you even start the teaching, you have to do pre-reflection. So you reflect, and that one will help you to kind of structure the lesson, so that you structure the lesson well for proper input, so that you'll be able to meet the needs of your students. And it means that in pre-reflection, you consider the needs of your students, their age range, and a whole lot of issues, so that you'll be able to do that, right? Then, reflection during teaching. During the teaching process, students will be asking questions, you'll be doing whatever. As you do the thing, you are so fast enough that you reflect on that particular activity you are doing. And then the kind of feedback they'll be giving to you spontaneously, you'll be looking at it. So you are doing reflection, pre and then during. Now, after the lesson has ended, you have done your evaluation, whatever, you're also going to do a reflection. Then you sit down. Did the lesson go well? If it went well, how well was it? And even if it went well, what can I do to make it better? Are there particular students who didn't understand something? And how do I even cater for that student? Even if it's one student who didn't understand, what strategies am I going to use to get that student along, right? So this is what is involved in that kind of reflective teaching. So as a teacher, you are a reflective being. Before the lesson starts, during the lesson, and after the lesson. That is my take. I think we've been joined by Isa. Isa, any contribution on that? Hello, Dr. Isa Sumala. Hello, Isa. Well, I think it seems he's not hearing us. So we continue. Now let's look at the community of practice. Community of practice, Honorable Nentri has dealt with it extensively, and I'm sure. Hello, Isa, can you hear us? Isa, your network is not very helpful. Hello? Okay, so we continue. Nentre has dealt with that. Let me add that, he, as he rightly said, you develop a positive teacher identity. Your identity as a teacher is so key because you are a role model.
Hello.
Yes, Isa, can you hear?
Hello.
Yes. Hello, Isa, can you hear us? Okay, so let's continue. The network is now favoring us. So we're moving to the next domain, that is professional knowledge. Professional knowledge. Under professional knowledge, the teacher needs to demonstrate knowledge of educational frameworks and curriculum. And under that, the teacher or teachers should demonstrate familiarity with the educational system and key policies guiding it. Besides, the teacher or teachers or a teacher should have a comprehensive knowledge of the official school curriculum, including the learning outcomes that are expected. In addition, the teacher should have a secure content knowledge, pedagogical knowledge. I mean, you should have secure content knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and pedagogical content knowledge for the school grade in which they teach. Now we have the early grade, right? We have the early grade, and then the other one is what? We have the high grade, because we now have those who are doing the early grade, and then those who will be teaching at let's say class 4 to class 6. Then we have those who will be teaching at the senior high school levels. And so we have
Okay, Doc, early grade, lower primary, I think early grade, lower primary, upper primary before the junior high.
Okay, so these are the grades. So it means you need to get secure content knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and pedagogical content knowledge. In fact, these three things are different. And so I'll call for your examples, explanation as it applies in a classroom situation. So then we move to the next one. So your comments are welcome,
please. All right, Doc, this is Nentre.
Yeah, okay.
For the professional knowledge, teachers by the end of their training should be able to understand what goes into teaching and learning activities. They must understand the students they teach. They must be able to determine which strategy or method works well with their students. Of course, they should be able to develop and learn in diverse cultural and linguistics background of their students. Of course, there are students who are very good in getting the concept well when a particular language is used. Again, there are students who are good in grasping concept when a particular teaching method is used. And so teachers by the end of their education or training should be able to determine what works well with their students in the classroom. Again, they should be able to apply the relevant teaching resources. Of course, we should be able to, as teachers, determine what resources are good for what subject or for what course. And so if you are going to teach, just as you said earlier, Doc, you should be able to reflect what kind of tools and materials are you going to use for the lesson? Which ones will work best for which student? Of course, I have indicated that some students learn by doing. Others also learn through auditory, basically what they hear. And so the teacher should be able to determine which works well for which student. Of course, students also in the classroom should not be treated in the same way. Teachers must understand the individuality of the learners they handle in their classrooms. And so for professional practice, we should always be able to have a repertoire of learning strategies. Basically, the kind of teaching techniques you must adopt in the classroom, you should have.
Hello, Nigeria. Okay. I think, can you rewind that place? The network, we had a network challenge.
The point I was making is that in the classroom, teachers should have a wide range of learning strategies for their lessons. This is because considering individual differences in the classroom, some students may prefer a particular strategy or method, whilst others also may want a different method in the same class. And so teachers must first of all understand their students and how they learn. And so before they go to class, they must do that reflection. That what method am I going to use? What strategy am I going to adopt? What kind of tools and materials am I going to use for this particular lesson? Of course, you must also have the knowledge of the content you are going to deliver. It is always imperative for teachers to sit down for some hours or minutes to read through what they are going to teach. Of course, you must have a full understanding of what you are going to teach, what you are going to deliver, to be able to help students to understand the concept. But I indicated that before you do that, you should know how your students learn. Understand which method or strategy works well for your students. Some students may prefer demonstration method of teaching. Others want to go out by way of a discovery method. They want to go out and find something for themselves. Some do very well in group work. Others want to work alone. And so teachers must first of all have the content knowledge of what they are going to teach. Of course, you must understand it to be able to teach. And again, before you go to the classroom to deliver your lesson, you must also have a full understanding of what method you are going to use, and also the most appropriate teaching and learning materials to be used for the lesson. And so when you talk of the professional knowledge, my understanding is that it has to do with the teacher's content knowledge. By way of preparation, the teachers must read through over and over what he is going to teach, prepare your scheme of work, your lesson plan, understand every part of it, consult when necessary, understand every part of what you're going to teach, so that you will be able to guide your students to understand the concept very well. The point is that if the teacher himself do not understand the content he is going to deliver, there is no way he will be able to guide his learners to be able to understand the concept. And so the issue is not just having the pedagogical knowledge, the teaching strategies and methods, but also understand the content and how your students learn. These are the key principles the teacher should be able to adopt in order to have his lessons delivered successfully.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Thank you, my discussant. In fact, yes, handled it well.
Hello.
Right? Yes. Now, looking at, please, Nemche, can you hear me?
I'm hearing you, Doc.
Okay. Okay. Now, hello. Yeah, Kwashi, I'll call you, but let me add something.
Yeah.
Kwashi, I'll call you, but let me add this. Now he has explained well the content knowledge, the pedagogical knowledge. Yes, but let me add a little to the pedagogical content knowledge. In fact, that is what makes every teacher unique. The content knowledge, right, is the subject matter you are going to teach yourself. I mean, that curriculum. You need to demonstrate that and understand, as he has explained. Now, pedagogical knowledge. What you know about the teaching, what teaching methods are appropriate, whatever, what are the principles that are going with this, as he has explained. Now, the last one, the pedagogical content knowledge. It is your experiences that you have gathered over time as a teacher regarding what will work best for students. So your pedagogical content knowledge is unique to you as a teacher because you have taught students over time and then you know what methods work better for them. You are able to skill and then organize in such that it's going to is well tailored to meet their needs in terms of better grasp of what you are going to teach. So when you have content knowledge and pedagogical knowledge, and you don't have pedagogical content knowledge, your lesson will not be complete. Yes. Honorable Benjamin Kwasi, please, your hand was up. When you are done, I will invite the others. Kwasi, please.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I just wanted to add up a little to what my fellow has said and what you have also explained further. The question is, what if is the first time of meeting these learners? Someone may ask, what if is the first time of meeting the learners? Per the understanding that we have deduced from the explanations from Ningchi and yourself, Doc, means that as a teacher, when you have the content knowledge and you also have the pedagogical knowledge that you've been trained, let's assume it's your first time in a classroom and your first time of meeting some particular learners. The pedagogical content knowledge, which is your experience as explained, mind you, every learner is unique. So you might be teaching for some time and you have gathered some sort of experiences as to what goes on and how you handle the classroom and teaching and all that. What I want to add is that learners have, please, I'm trying to make a point. Learners have unique learning characteristics. And so per your content knowledge that you have gained of the subjects that you are going to teach, and then the pedagogical knowledge, as William has explained earlier, and yourself you have explained earlier, should be able to guide you enough to devise various strategies to use in a classroom, even if it is the first time you are meeting the learners or is your first teaching experiences. So that's what I want to add, that your ability to apply what you have learned at the subject matter and what you have also learned as instructional strategies or pedagogies, you should be able to deploy variety of those strategies to deliver the content that you have learned as a subject matter, so that you would be able to satisfy the various differences or the various learners with different learning abilities in the classroom. That will connote that you are exhibiting professional knowledge rather than if, say, you haven't been able to meet the learner before, so that you wouldn't be able to come out with very good strategies to keep a certain learner in mind before you go to the classroom. But what the ideal thing is that as a professional teacher, you should be able to use variety of strategies in a classroom. And when that is done, you would be able to satisfy the various learners and their needs in the classroom. So that's what I just wanted to add up to it.
Okay, thank you. Please, Brain, are you there? If you are there, kindly unmute yourself and let's hear you.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Swansea.
This is Swansea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been following the conversation so far, but what we have to understand is that we are it seems we are talking about teaching generally. We have to come to the art education context. The initial teacher training in art education involves two forms. That is training as artists and then training as educators. So with the artistic training, that is where the subject matter and the content comes into play. So when the attention is shifted there, then the teacher is well equipped in that direction. And then when it comes to the pedagogy, we have several pedagogies for effective teaching. So all that they've been talking about boils down to differentiated classroom, like the teacher having foreknowledge of learner's background, learning needs, interests, and strength, and then adapting instructional strategies to and resources to address the learning needs. So we should consider some form of pedagogies in the artistic domain that will also enhance effective teaching and learning.
Okay.
Previously we've been used to these old didactic teacher-centered approaches, which in turn has really contributed to a lot of failures in our school systems. So the pedagogical shift should be rather student-centered. So as teachers, we should think about certain instructional strategies such as collaborative teaching, scaffolding, and then differentiation approach, and many others. You see, so that we shift from the old system of teaching, like we used to do discussion, lecturing, and observe, like or demonstrations and all these things. We shift the paradigm from the old teacher-centered approaches to learner-centered approaches. That way, we can also enhance effective teaching and learning.
Okay. Thank you. I think last week, last Thursday, we dealt with teaching methods. But today, what we're actually dealing with is the national teaching standards for Ghana. There are basic standards that have been set for. Before that, there weren't any. So now there are standards that have been set for that teachers you need to do. And these standards were created, with the collaboration of all tertiary institutions, major tertiary institutions, colleges of education, and all who matter in education. I mean, the major institution, the NTC, National Accreditation Board, NACA, and Co. They all came together to formulate this, and that is what we are discussing. The thing is built on three major domains. We have the professional knowledge, professional practice, then knowledge of curriculum, blah, 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 blah. So three main things. That's what we are dealing with. That's why we are not specifically talking to art, but it's general. It deals with all the subject areas so that the listener will be able to appropriate it in wherever he is. So thank you for bringing in that.
Yeah. So how do we bridge it from policy level to local school systems?
And that is one of the main reasons why we are doing this webinar. In fact, some even teachers are not even aware that there's even a standard existing for them.
And looking at the number of participants in this webinar and how important it is. It is disheartening,
No, don't be worried about this. So, hello, Swansea, don't be worried about this, because what we're doing right now is a kind of discussion from discussants. After which we upload it on YouTube for all to look at.
But then I'm more interested in the teacher participation and then the involvement. You
see, for
sometimes
participation, you cannot force somebody to take part by all means. So let's make do with what we have now, please.
Yeah, I understand.
We can talk about that, at the back, but that's because we have made this.
Yeah, but you are doing a great job.
So thank you. We'll talk about this, so please be on board.
Doc, I want to add. I want to add to this discussion.
Okay.
This is Nentwi. The development of the teaching standards, if you read, arose from the need to consolidate the different standards being used by the various institutions.
Okay.
Of course, if you go to University of Cape Coast, they have their own way of assessment. KNUST, Winneba, they also have their different way of assessment. And so the development of the teaching standard was actually meant to consolidate the standards so that by the time student teacher complete his course or her course, these are the standard sets nationally for you to acquire these standards before you will become a professional teacher. It's a consolidated one, a measure from KNUST, from UCC, from Winneba, from all the teacher training institutions. And so, of course, this is actually a policy that is made for teachers, just as you indicated earlier, for educational policy makers, for management, for students. And so we know that by the time you complete your teacher education, these are the standards you must acquire. Besides that, there is also an exam that is written based on the national teaching standards. And so when you go through the training, let us also not forget that the national teacher curriculum framework is also directly aligned to the national teacher standards. Of course, if you look at the 4 pillars of the national teacher standards, they are aligned with these categories of the teacher standards, the professional attitudes and values, the knowledge, and then practice. They are strictly aligned to the national teacher education framework. And so we believe that certainly, just as Swansea asks how this policy will get down to the local schools. Of course, now colleges of education, KNUST teaching students to become teachers, UCC is doing it, UW, UDS. These are the policy frameworks we are using. We are all using this. And so by the time our students come out, they might have acquired these standards to become professional teachers. And there's also an exam for them to go through. Once you pass the exams, of course, we assume that you have attained all these standards to become a professional teacher. And these teachers are being posted to the all areas across Ghana. And so they are going to basically exhibit these skills they have acquired for the betterment or for quality education. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Your hand is up, please. Benji, your hand is up.
Hello, Doc.
Yeah, okay.
Hello, Doc.
Olele.
Doc. Yeah, this is Olele. Doc, if I may
Olele,
come in small before Benji.
At all. And Brain too, I don't know if she
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, I can hear you. When you were calling me, I was trying to talk, but yeah, there I am. I'm struggling to get network. But I wanted to chip in something. I quite remember last 3 weeks when we had the same discussion on the national teaching standard. We raised such an issues, and we all know where it landed us. So I may please with my colleagues that if we can drop this issue and concentrate on the main discussion, so that with time will not catch up with us, but we can treat important issues as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please, Benjamin Kwashi, your hand is up. But if somebody, Brain, if you can hear me, I've been trying to get in touch. Brain, can you hear me?
I'm here. Yes,
Your
I'm
network
here.
is not favoring you at all, eh?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, I'm here.
Uh-huh.
I'm here.
We are happy you are back. In the meantime, Ben, please, you are welcome.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I want to comment on one of the components or the indicators that has been stated there. And in fact, that is what we are doing now. Is the first one, that is to demonstrate familiarity with the education system and key policy guiding it. In fact, I am happy, you made mention that a lot of teachers are not even aware of the national teaching standards. And through this platform and the discussions that we are having, it will be of interest, or it will go a long way to educate these teachers on the standards. Just as my brother Nintri said earlier, for those who are going through the training college and teacher training system, they are going to be molded with these standards. But what about the masses who are already in the classrooms? And so as a teacher, the standard is saying that once you are a teacher, what will indicate that you have professional knowledge is for you to be aware of the current trends in the education system. And how are you going to be aware? Is by reading, is by joining conferences like we are having. So those of our colleagues who are not able to join this conference, when they get the opportunity to play, we are inviting them for subsequent ones. That it is such conferences that will help you as a teacher to become aware of the current trends, because as a requirement of the National Teaching Standard, that you should be able to have knowledge about current trends of education. So if you are not able to join such fora or such conferences, how do you become abreast with the current trends? And if you are not able to have the current trends, then your pedagogy is going to be problematic in the classroom. You wouldn't be able to deliver as expected of you because you don't know the modern trends, as Swansea had mentioned some to us, and we have also heard that last week the pedagogies were being discussed and all that. So it is a matter of call or wake up call for all of us to become abreast with these standards, that as a teacher you need to be knowledgeable in current trends of education, the policies that are being guided in education. So as a teacher, whether you're a teacher or whatsoever subject-based teacher you are, it is a mandate for you to look for knowledge that is concerned with current education policies in the country where you teach.
Thank you so much for your presentation and for your points. Brain, your hand is up.
Yeah, when Ben was talking, he made mention of how does this get to the masses.
We are seeing your ceiling. We want to see your face.
You have to see my face.
And not your ceiling.
Are you seeing it now?
Continue, please.
Are you seeing my face now?
The network is not very good, but you continue.
All right. So, like he said, how does this policy or knowledge get to the masses? Thankfully enough, time is given to some of us, and including he himself, on Monday to facilitate a CAD program. These teaching standards are imbibed in all the curriculums that have been enrolled by NACA. So as we go out there on Monday to facilitate to the JHS teachers, we should ensure that we relay the knowledge we are giving to the teachers using the standard, because you cannot give what you don't have. So if we want them to learn the standard, we should teach them based on the standard. We're talking about comprehensive knowledge. So I see a point in time where teacher readability, we fail to read, and that is what is causing us all these problems. So once we have the platform, let's get the knowledge to them, and it is going to be gradual. It won't just spark like a fire. It will be gradual, and we'll all get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Margaret Asavia, we are all ears. Auntie Maggie, please unmute your microphone and talk to us.
Now hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello.
Now. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you all for the wonderful contributions. I want to add a little to what transpired so far. When my colleague Brian was talking, he was saying that because a number of people don't read, the content knowledge is less, maybe less anyway. And I know truly it's a factor, because if you don't have the content, no matter the pedagogical skills that you have, you go and then you'll be fumbling. Besides that, I just want to add that we are visual artists. And where is our practice? Do students see our works visual, or they are imbibed in our content? I beseech each and every one of us, let us practice, let us let the students, you see, as he was talking, he said, you cannot give what you don't have. We supervise our students to have their projects, everything. They believe in us, it's wonderful, this, that. But you, who are you with your works? Let us, as much as possible. This will really motivate the students, because they see our works. The exhibition, international exhibitions, we are there. Local exhibitions, we are there. Even community exhibitions. It's not only the students' work, but our works too are there. So I'm just encouraging all of us that we are visual artists. One person came in, either Swansea or somebody came in and said that we should look at our area, that is the arts. And we are visual artists. It cuts through conceptual, whatsoever, contemporary, everything, yet it's visual. Let us, as much as possible, spend time and also work practically, so that the students will know that we have it before giving it to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Asavia, for your contribution. Okay, so under professional knowledge, we have looked at knowledge of educational framework and curriculum. We now move to look at other aspects on the same thing. So under the pre-tertiary, the point this is at pre-primary and primary, the teacher knows the curriculum for the years, must know the curriculum of the years appropriate to multi-grade classes, and must demonstrate good knowledge of how to teach beginning, reading, and numeracy, and speaking, listening, reading, and writing, and to use at least one Ghanaian language as a medium of instruction. As Nenji hinted, we have this, early grade, lower, upper, and then the other. And so as a teacher, whichever grade you belong to, you need to demonstrate that appropriate, pedagogical content knowledge, that is in line with that grade, so that you'll be able to deliver, right? So we'll not spend so much time there. Let's go to knowledge of students. And that is where I'll take, so knowledge of students, the standard says the teachers should understand how children develop and learn in diverse contexts and applies this in his or her teaching. Besides, teachers take account of and respect learners' cultural, linguistic, socio-economic, educational backgrounds in planning and teaching. Now, I want to take your comment on this, a short explanation on this, so that we move to the next one. Please raise your hand, and then the floor is for you. Today is for discussion. Okay, Mr. Yeah, okay. So Mr. Nenchi will talk, and then after which we'll invite Madam Margaret. The two of them have, have their hands raised. So please, we are listening to you, Mr. Nenchi William. Please unmute your microphone. We are not hearing you.
All right, thank you very much, Doc. What I want to say is that, first of all, we need to understand the students we teach. We must understand what they like, what they do not like. We should also understand what happens to them when they go home. In order to have a total understanding of the students we handle in our class, the way they behave in our class, we should not only be bothered with what they do in the classroom situations, but they should also, teachers should also be interested in what they do and what happens to them at home. It is because the way students behave and do things in their classroom sometimes is influenced by the kind of treatment they get at home. And so first of all, teachers should be concerned with what happens to their students when they are not in school. And again, they should be able to understand their ways of learning. How do they learn? Of course, we have learned that some students are very good through what they hear, as I indicated earlier. Some are very good through what they do. Of course, when they get an opportunity to practice what they learn in the classroom, they are able to grasp the concept so easily. There are some, they are very good at seeing and being able to grasp the concept of what they learn. Some also through the auditory. And so teachers must understand their students and how they learn. You must know what they like. Of course, that will influence what kind of teaching, what kind of teaching method you will want to use. What kind of tools and materials you want to take to your class. And so understand how the students learn, understand how they develop. Of course, if students are new in your class, teachers can always consult teachers of the previous class. For instance, if you teach in the class 6 and your students are new, particularly in the first term, you do not know them much. What do? You consult your other colleagues who previously handled them. By so doing, you will be able to understand your students, how they learn and how they behave in classroom situations. And so I believe that teachers must always find ways to understand their students in order to help them to learn successfully in the classroom. Thank you very much, Doc.
Yeah, thank you so much. Please, Madam Margaret, you are welcome. We're listening to you. Auntie Maggie, we are listening.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Honorable Nempi. All right. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, madam.
Hello.
Madam, please, we can hear you.
Hello. Okay. Okay. This is very, very crucial and it is very vital. It's triggers down from the community of practice, and it has been broken down into these very major subtopics. Now, earlier on, we said that even the class is one of the community, and then it goes on to the home and so on and so forth. If teachers or tutors will spend quality time, not about themselves and what they are going to teach alone, but be very interested in the cultural practices of the people that they are going to teach. Especially, let us take it like a community, maybe a primary school and so on and so forth. As for that, it is a little easier to, because it is a community on itself, but maybe I'm in Accra here, people are coming from so many other places. So sometimes it becomes difficult, just as Senenpi said. Still, you can know the background from the previous tutors and so on and so forth. But what I really want to emphasize is that if we, those of us on this platform right now, can affect all other tutors through our professional learning community and so on and so forth. If we can really spend time, like admit this cultural, linguistic, socioeconomic, which is their whether they are low class, middle class, or the affluent. We spend quality time to know a little, maybe the first 1 week or 2 weeks, we relate with these children and not rushing to pour on them the content and the pedagogical skills, but spend quality time to know their background, what they believe in, what they don't believe in, even the type of churches around, the mosques around, and so on. If we can really spend quality time before we start downloading whatsoever we have, the content and the practices to them, it will be very wonderful. And especially their background, as Senenki said, their background can really help us so that we will not underrate anybody in our classroom or in our community, whether parents, students, learners, whosoever. We will not underrate them at all because we know their background. And it is our duty to help them gain grounds from wheresoever they came from, their socioeconomic background, their linguistic and their culture and everything. And when we do this, in fact, it will be very even easy for us to handle our own content and then our pedagogical skill, because we have all this background and we are well seated. Even though we cannot get all at a go, but as we move on, we become conscious of all this. So it should be in us. This, what we have mentioned over here, should be part of our DNA. It should be part that I must have time and then know their cultural background, what they believe in, what they don't believe, how their food they eat, and everything. And when you do that as a teacher, it relaxes your nerve, you yourself, your nerves, so that when you are delivering, it becomes very easy to relate well with these learners. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Margaret Asavia, for your contribution. That's great. Brain, your hand is up. We want to hear you, please. I had to Brain.
Okay. Yeah. Adding my voice. Yes. Adding my voice to the earlier speakers. Hello.
Yeah, please. We are all ears.
Hello.
Yeah, we are listening to you, sir.
All right. So adding my voice to the earlier speakers, I see these two things. Like Nenki said, understanding the students is key. Understanding the students is key. So I'm looking at pedagogy versus learning style. What learning styles do the students possess? We can look at it from the verbal learners, like Nenki said, the visual learners, the auditory learners, and the experiential learners. At what point do we introduce all these learning styles? Which child has the visual learning style? Which percentage of learners have the verbal learning style? Which percentage has the auditory and the experiential? This has been focused on when we facilitated the basic school curriculum. You realize that there is no longer going to be anything like examination where the child needs to just kill poor, get the A's and go away, but rather every teacher needs to build a portfolio for the learner. So before the learner leaves class 2 to 3, the learner is coming with a portfolio for you, the new teacher, to look on and see this is the learning style of the learner, and then you follow suit. So like I said earlier, gradually we are going to get there based on whatever policies that have been put down by the Ministry of Education. The only problem here we have is how do we do it? Are we ready to practice it? Because these things comes with extra time. If you want to really understand the child's or those students who are verbal learners, those students who are visual learners, those students who are auditory and experiential learners, then you have to go extra mile in order to get all these things. When we use the timetable given to us in the schools, we may not get there. Let's get this straight. The timetable forces us to do things that will lead us to, okay, results are in. how many get A in my course? That wouldn't help. We need to start focusing some assessment based on, okay, this category of students, I will assess them because they are visual learners. I will make them write and then see. These people can recite. We shouldn't tie our assessment to pen and paper and then that ends it. That is what I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Swansea, your hand is up. Enoch, Swansea, Imprim, your hand is up.
Yes, from all that they've been saying, it boils down to the theory of multiple intelligence. So like the visual, the linguistic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, logical, and then musical, and then bodily, and then naturalistic. So as teachers, you have to identify each student and how they are able to get the knowledge you are giving out so that you cater for all of them. Sometimes because of the number of students we have in our class, we tend to concentrate on few who will get it through maybe the linguistic. Then we ignore the rest and later label them as bad students. So what I will encourage teachers to do is that to look for the type of intelligence the student can also pick from whatever you are teaching, whether visual, audio, or whatever. And then cater, sometimes you even have to meet the student one-on-one. That is the interpersonal, so that the person can get the concept. If you cannot, as a teacher, the person is not getting it, maybe your teaching approach is also a problem. So sometimes it is good to even refer the student to other teachers as well. It is all part of the teaching process. Sometimes you even have to involve a resource personnel from outside just to come in and save the situation. So that is what I would say for now.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Please, any other points?
Yeah, Doc. Ben Kwashi's hands is been up for a while.
I didn't see it. Sorry. Please go on.
All right. Thank you very much, Doc, for the opportunity. I think that Auntie Sabia raised some key issues. I just want to drive home that very point. We are looking at the practicality of the whole policy in our classrooms. How do you get to know that your learners are that learners, or they are these learners, or they are whatsoever learners? Auntie Sabia said that the first point of call is getting knowledge about your students. If you don't get close to them, if you don't have some formal, established some kind of relation, trying to know your student, where they are from, what they like, what their environment is like, what their experiences are, you may never get a student to know the type of learner he or she is, because he will be playing hide and seek with you in a classroom. We've had those practical situations or experiences before. I've had a class where the learners were so many that each and every day, some students ran on shift, because during their intake, when I was doing the formal introduction and getting to know the student, some were not present and they later on were brought into the classroom. So there wasn't any reintroduction done. And so these learners felt that you don't know them. And it's true, you wouldn't know them because they are always running on shift. Today, you see this new face. By the time you want to get to know him, another one comes and this one goes and they never come, and like that. So the first point of call, just as Madam Margaret Asabia has stated, is that we should have formal introduction with the learners. The first time you meet the learners, you should be able to have that kind of established relationship with them. And then Brain said it will take time. Yes, it will take time, but that thing has to be done. even if it will take a whole week for you to get all the learners. In fact, our classrooms are large, but we have to start somewhere. If it will take a whole week, try to establish that relationship with the learners. If you don't have that relationship, getting to know them, their background, even the language that they are more fluent in, you find a learner who will never contribute in your class. And not that that learner is recalcitrant or is a low learner or whatsoever, but because there hasn't been any good relationship between you and the learner will never open up to you on that note. So let's take that point very serious, that formal introduction and getting to establish good relationship with the learner will bring out all the others that we are talking about, whether the learner is an auditory learner or whatsoever. If you have interaction with the learner, you know whether he or she can express himself in English well, or will be able to use Ghana language well, or whatsoever language. And that will help you to know how to deal with such learners and helping them to contribute in class. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for your point.
Yeah,
Now, let me.
Doc.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yeah, go on, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is Olele. I want to cite a practical example that happened in my class somewhere last 2 semesters. There was one learner in my class who the learner, anytime that I ask this particular learner a question, she doesn't respond to any question of mine. So I was, why is she not answering my questions? So I gave them a quiz. And after the answering of the quiz, I saw her that she was having problem with her sentences and grammar. So what I did was that anytime that I wanted to ask that particular line of question, I'll just give the whole class, paste it or post it, that paper, that small paper. So after that, they have written their answers on it, they will come and post it on the board, and I'll pay attention, particular attention. I'll not allow the learners to see, but I'll pay particular attention to her, what she has written. So from there, gradually, I started correcting her grammar, and she was able to pass the exam at the end of the semester to move forward. So I think it is very important that we get closer to our learners. Most importantly, we put in place the 3 mode of assessment. That's the assessment as the assessment for, in particular, that 2 assessment, which fall under the formative assessment. We put it in place whenever that we are teaching. That one will also help us to understand our learners better. Thank you.
Thank you for your point. Let me add this little stuff. I mean, the point 2 takes account of and respect learners' cultural, linguistic, blah, blah, blah. I will center on the cultural. You see, we always talk about individual difference, respect the individual differences of the student. Yet, sometimes we become guilty of the same individual difference we are talking about. Because of our position as teachers or as leaders, and because of our preferences for certain things, we may even sack a student. Look, you have come to this class with this hairstyle. Get out of my class. Are you respecting cultural difference? What is the relationship with hairstyle in academic, in learning and passing exams? We have individual differences. The child is 18 years and above. He has a particular hairstyle. If you are not okay with it, the only thing you can do is call the student privately after class, advise, and he or she may explain. A student may be wearing dreadlocks, rasta or something to the class. You have to explain that, okay, this is it, this is it. But you just sack the students and do a whole lot of issues. When we come to the basic level, if a child or a student is having rasta or a particular hair, maybe based on religious whatever, we sack them, including head teachers. We sack the student from the class. Yet, we come out and say respect individual differences. And sometimes, even if we don't sack them, the kind of comment we'll make, it makes them a laughing stock among their peers. And that is my worry. And so, as teachers, we need to look at that. Talking about individual differences, yet when it comes to certain things, based on our whims and caprices, we just let students down on that and then talk to them anyhow. I even sack them. And I know Mr. Nentri wants to respond to that. So I'm listening to you, sir.
Doc, my line went off, and so I just rejoined. But I just want to react to the last point you made.
Okay.
We normally do not treat our students well. We don't take our time to ask questions why they behave the way they behave. But some of these issues are national issues, and we need to deal with them from the national level. We talk of individual differences, assessing students individually and making sure that their assessment is fair based on how they learn. But someone asked this question that why do students write the same exams for BEC and WASSCE? If indeed you will respect and place premium on individual differences, how students learn, how they are able to grasp concept, taking into consideration how students learn and respond to questions. We know some students are very good when they do. Some are good when they hear. Some are good when they see. And so this must be factored into our assessment practices. But nationally, what do we see? Students go to national exams like BEC, WASSCE, and they are giving the same exams. Of course, who cares whether you are kind of kinesthetic learner or visual learner or auditory? Nobody cares. If it is RME, everybody is writing. There is nothing practical about it. If it is art, you would write and then go and also do the practicals. And so we actually do not, nationally, we do not place emphasis on individual differences. Recently, I was listening to a blind man who is in the first year of Legon, and now he's having a problem with the university because when he was writing the WASSCE, they gave him a special treatment, a particular way, for him to be able to write his WASSCE as a visually impaired candidate. He was treated as such. He was able to pass. The system is not designed, and now he's contemplating whether to stop or to continue. Some of these issues are national issues. I mean, apart from the ones teachers are supposed to be able to do through their professional practices and pedagogical content knowledge, some of the other issues are purely national. And dealing with them, I think, is really difficult, particularly the case of respecting individual differences in our examination.
Yeah, thank you for bringing us. You see, this is what call for research. This call for research. So that's the problem we have identified. Olela, I'll invite you. That's the problem we have identified, and we need to research this and make it, and you publish it in journals. And apart from publishing it in journals, one of these things, we are going to come out with a particular platform with ATAC. And what we will do is that after the research has been published, you see, by the same individual difference, because many people will not like to, many people don't read, we will still give you a platform to present your research, like this, in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then we share it on YouTube. That is what we want to do, so that it will, at least those who like to watch videos will help understand your videos well, and then whatever. Those who like to read, will refer them to the document to go and read, because research is for dissemination. Thank you so much for dealing with that individual differences. And I think it's a very interesting point. Now, Olele, please, your point.
Yeah, Doc, thank you very much. I wanted to add to it that sometimes we also don't read and search for information. For example, the very important issue that my fellow colleague raised, Elder Tanenchi. You see, with the blind lady that he was talking about, he said he was giving attention on how to go about the conduct of her exams. My colleagues on this platform, even with the UCC end of semester exams that we were writing previously.
Olele.
Yeah.
I don't want us to be dropping names of universities. This is going to be.
Oh, no.
Don't
I'm not
so
going to
please
say.
don't be dropping names of universities.
If you have allowed me to end, you understand it. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying some rule that they have inculcated, which is very important that most of us don't know of. And I know Winneba too will be doing the same, because I never knew that if you're a physically challenged person or you are handicapped and you are writing exams, there's some extra 30 minutes given to you till I read. No. Like, are you getting my point? So I'm just adding up to what Nenche said.
You see, what Nenche
That's
is
why I
saying.
mentioned the name of UCC.
What Nenche is saying, if you haven't given me 30 minutes and I'm a blind person and I use Braille and you didn't give me Braille, what will 30 minutes do to me? Do you get it?
Oh, but at least they have done something.
Oh no.
And most of us doesn't know that it's there. So he was saying that the WASI gave him special attention. And I'm also saying that sometimes even invigilators, when we go to invigilate, we don't know most of the rules that are there for these people. So sometimes it also depends on us to read or search for those informations so that we can add to it whenever that we are out. We are partaking in an exercise that relate to it.
Okay, thank you so
if
much.
My point is not clear.
Thank you so much. I think the discussion is getting interesting. Let's go to the last domain of the teaching. We have dealt with the first one, that is professional values and attitudes, and under which we have looked at professional development. We have looked at community of practice. Then we came to the second one, professional knowledge. We have dealt with knowledge of educational framework and curriculum. And now what we are doing right now, which we have ended, is the knowledge of students. We're now going to the last domain, which is professional practice. Professional practice. Under that, we have managing the learning environment. And this is what is expected of a teacher. Teacher plans and delivers varied and challenging lessons, showing a clear grasp of the intended outcomes of their teaching. Carry out small-scale action research to improve practice. Create a safe, encouraging learning environment. Manages behavior and learning with small and large classes. Yes. So let's respond to this quickly. And then, by way of explanation to this point, no, it should be brief so that we can finish on time. And then we go to the other subheadings under professional practice. Thank you. Brain, is your hand up? Is your hand up? If your hand is up, unmute your microphone and talk to it, please.
Yes, so my hand is up. You spoke about managing learning environment. I will use the colleges of education as an example, and then I will make my case from there. Now, if you have a learning environment where you have various degrees of administrative bottlenecks, you may or may not succeed as a practitioner. For the last decade, I have been doing something which I think some colleagues can pick a point from it. It is not in any document anywhere that every second semester in the second year, students must do exhibition. But the very time I started teaching and realized that students need to do practical, I have consistently insisted that the administration provides every needed material that I need in order to move on with my practical lessons. Why am I saying this? I have to present an objective for the head of institution to see the benefit the college will get, the benefit the students will get, and the benefit the society will get before I am giving the funds. So like you said, if we research, we should do some amount of action research to be able to convince our heads of department and heads of institution so we can be given that ample environment to do our practice. That's what I want to share with you.
Okay, thank you. Please, any other contribution on the point under managing the learning environment?
Yes, Kwashi would want to make some submission.
Okay, you're welcome. Kwashi, I don't
Right,
understand why you're not showing your face. Eh? You're not showing your face. Are you a ghost now? Yeah, no.
I believe my face is visible now.
We are listening.
All right, thank you very much once again. Talking about managing the learning environment, I want to add that as teachers, the traditional classroom, as we are used to, with a set of arrangements of the furniture in the classroom for teaching and learning, if we are zeroing into the classroom as a learning environment, that traditional arrangement, the rows or what have you, arrangement of the furniture in the classroom and the table or the teacher's table and the marker board or the chalkboard or what have you, is not a static arrangement, more especially when we are looking at a creative learning environment. It is not that because that is how the furniture has been arranged, so you cannot alter the sitting arrangement. You should be able to devise some sort of learning environment that will conform to the goals of your lesson. So if the lesson can be staged on a park, why not? It can be staged along the riverbank and is close to the school environment. Why not? If it can be done in the marketplace, why not? However, to manage such a learning environment, especially when you have to do with the outside the walls of the school environment, the teacher will need to do some kind of preparation, and that goes into the management as well. Where necessary, you would have to go in to seek permission to book places where you want to have your lesson if it's outside the school community. Imagine that you want to let your learners have learn something in a printing press where you're going to do it in a form of field trip, and the workers at the press will have to take charge of the class and introduce the learners to how machines are being used and how printing is done and all that, for them to have first-hand information from the industry. Then you need to make some prior arrangements together with informing parents as well as the owners of the printing press and then the school authorities, and making arrangements if you have to use bars and all that. All that goes into managing of your learning environment, and also making sure that the learners put out some good behavior when they are out there. So you need to, as a teacher, explain the reasons why you are going out there. Let the learners know what you are expected of them when they are out there, and what you want them to do when they come back from the visit and all that. So the traditional four walls of a classroom and the sitting arrangement in the classroom, it's not a static learning environment. You can always rearrange the class to suit the learning outcomes of yourself as a teacher, so that you will be able to get that point you need to drive into the learners to grasp the competencies that you expect of them or you want them to acquire by the end of the lesson. So if you would have to even take away all the desks from the classroom and then spread your canvases or papers on the floor and you do your painting and all that. You have to. And so that is the point I want to make clear, that in terms of managing our classroom, the traditional four walls of the classroom is not a conventional thing. It is not something that cannot be broken or cannot be changed in terms of managing the learning environment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your interesting points and contribution raised. Swansea, your hand was up. Are you online?
Yes, yeah, I'm online. I would like to add something to what our brother Benjamin said. The teaching classroom has previously been conditioned like some individualistic student kind of arrangement. But then now the 21st century is shifting from the static classroom to collaborative classroom. What is happening is that students who graduate from this kind of educational systems, even at the workplace, find it difficult to collaborate with other colleagues. So they tend to even resign from work and all that. So especially in the arts, the collaborative classroom kind of arrangement is very important. It's very important since, even collaboration is one of the learning competencies in 21st century education. So we shouldn't box the student to one corner, give them that liberty for free movement in the classroom where necessary, and then also try to collaborate with the colleagues to make the learning outcome very positive. So that is what I will say for now.
Thank you. Auntie Maggie, your point, please. Please unmute your microphone. Okay. Auntie Maggie, we are listening to you.
Thank you very much for. Yes, I've unmuted it.
Okay.
I just want to add a little to. Yes, I'm talking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go on.
Hello. Hello. Oh. Create a safe, encouraging learning environment. That's what I want to contribute to.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Besides, when we are taking not the virtual space, but when we are taking the physical consideration, right down from the security to the fence wall and everything in the school, if we have been assigned as hall wardens or house masters and mistresses, our role well. When we do the best that we can, it becomes very easy for the rest to fall in place. So if we really do our work well as hall wardens, class tutors, and we do it well, it's up to the safe environment. That's why I said beside the physical one that we see, which is very, very important. As you say, some are it is above the security and other administration, fine. But we as individual practitioners, what do we do? They are wards, that's gentlemen. And definitely, in my language, they said, meaning that things can go on at any place. Sometimes we, the tutors, we become a threat to the learners, especially where mutual connection begins. I will beseech all of us that if we are talking here on this platform about safe environment, then let us see how best we can manage our emotions when it comes to the opposite relationship, so that the young men and women, it can come from us, the gentlemen, to the ladies, vice versa. If we are talking about this over here, then we must have it in us that we are going to comport ourselves, we are going to put up a very good behavior because we are examples to our learners, and then things will fall in place. So the government will, administration will do their best. Then we, the tutors right now studying this going through this very course, we must also tighten our belt and do the best that we can. Coming to school early, making sure that we, even if we are late, we are sending message to them that, oh, this, if you read there, we apologize that, oh, I'm late because of this, that. You see, it makes the children relax that, our tutor cares for us. They really fix us into their plan. Even when they come and they don't just blame us, but sometimes they take the blame and then apologize. All this, and when learners are in this environment, they relax, and it makes learning very, very a little comfortable, more than the tense one where after class, or if he doesn't answer question, or if he answers question, this and that will go on. And even sometimes, even some people will pinpoint particular people to supervise their project work because they have keen interest in some mutual relationship. If all of us over here will desist from that, it will help to add up to what the government is doing, the administration is doing.
Thank you, Madam Margaret.
And we are also
gender
doing.
advocate.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, Dr. Akwa,
balancing all the gender.
Yes. Dr. Akwa, I crave your indulgence to deal with the action research, carry out small-scale action research to improve our practice. We are happy to meet. Dr. Akwa is online with us, and he's ready to share with us something on, as teachers, we creating action research or conducting action research in our class.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I guess you can hear me. Okay. Let me first of all render my sincere apology for joining in late. I just came from another meeting. It started way back at 9:30 and we just ended, and then I was just informed that, oh, this is going on. Okay, straight to the point. Issues with regard to, you said you qualify it by using the term small scale. Yeah. So small scale action research to improve practice. Yes, as a teacher, to be able to know your students' individual differences. You are expected to know your students. If you want to manage them well, you have to know who they are. And then if you are expected to present a particular lesson, of course, you present lessons. And before you present the lesson, perhaps you had a previous knowledge, prior information about your previous experiences with a class, not the class you are going to teach. You arm yourself with whatever knowledge you have, personal experience. And that will inform you as to how best to address the new class you are going to teach. Having said that, you have prepared adequately for the new class, but that does not stop you from making sure that throughout the lesson, you are able to consciously observe very, very well, observe whatever goes on step by step. It's a practical-oriented project you are taking the students through. Make sure that at every point in time, you identify the strengths and the weaknesses of these students that you are teaching. You may not have everything 100%. So even if one student is not able to make it as you move along with them, please take note of that. Whatever the student or student challenges, you are expected to address them. That is why it's even proper that in your lesson delivery, you should not lose sight of the fact that periodically you ask them questions and also engage them to practice the bits and pieces of whatever you are taking them through. Because you don't have to execute the whole process and then expect them to be able to go through as you have done. Remember, we have individual differences. Having said that, if you want to consider action research procedure, there's the need for you to diagnose the problem. In your attempt to identify the problem, you diagnose it. You may decide to use observation, you may decide to use questioning, or you may even decide to engage them in conversation or interview in the strict sense of the word. And through that, you'll be able to tease out certain key elements which may affect the way they act or the way they understand whatever lesson you are delivering. So you diagnose the problem that I consider to be a step in the action research process. After diagnosing the problem, you'll be able to present or state whatever real problem they are facing. Now, after taking them through the project, definitely you do your assessment. You do your assessment. Now, after doing your assessment, and based on the problem you identify, it's possible that there will be a relationship or a link between the problem you identified and then the fallout from your assessment. And then based on these two records, you'll be able to come out with strategies to be able to address the problem. Strictly speaking, you may say interventions. So you design interventions to address the problems that you were able to identify after taking them through the lesson. Yes. So you design whatever strategies that are important with the students and not you sitting down in your comfort zone and saying that, oh, okay, if I do this, I think it will work. You need to get the students involved in your attempt to design strategies to address the problem. So action research entails working to design strategies with the students in mind and not you, the teacher, being a boss and designing strategies and then carrying them out. So if you are able to involve the students to find a way out to address the problem, if they are not able to execute a particular project, you need to get in touch with them and then sit down with them and then find alternative ways of addressing or going through the same project, but this time overcoming the obstacles and getting the project through. So if you do that, you also, after taking them through another section of the project, you also do evaluation or assessment of whatever you have done. And believe me, your interaction with the students and they're helping you to design strategies to embark on the new project. I believe it will be positive. Yes. So, and if you go through the second process and you do the second assessment, you try to make a comparative analysis between the two results. Now, having said that, it does not end there. Since you continue to teach, it is possible that new situations or new problems will even emerge as you continue. So that's why sometimes they say that action research is cyclical. Yes. So this is the little bit of information I have for the group discussion. Thank you so much. And once again, my apologies for coming late.
Thank you, sir, for sharing with us that's important information regarding action research. We're very happy about that. Let me add that many a time as teachers we may be complaining, oh, I don't even have topics to research on. In fact, you can research, just as Dr. Akwa explained, you can use only one student case, research on it. That's a case study, right? You use one student as a case study and research on it based on your teaching situation in the class. So now, once you identify the problem, you introduce the intervention and you write the research report, and that is it. You can publish that thing. It's acceptable, right? So thank you, Dr. Aqua, for that point. On that note, we move to the next heading under professional practice. What we have looked at is managing the classroom environment. The next major point is the teaching and learning. Teaching and learning, So under teaching and learning, teachers should employ a variety of instructional strategies that encourage student participation and critical thinking. Pay attention to all learners, especially girls and students with special educational needs, ensuring their progress. And employ instructional strategies appropriate for mixed ability, multilingual, and multi-stage classes. And set meaningful tasks that encourages learner collaboration and lead to purposeful learning. Besides, the teacher should explain concepts clearly using familiar examples to students, not unfamiliar ones. So it means you need to get the concept and go and bring the familiar examples. Then produce and use variety of teaching and learning resources, including ICT, to enhance learning. That's it. So please, honorable members, these are the points. Let's deal with them. Brain, your hand is up, please, your point. Unmute your microphone, please, and talk to us. Brain, I saw your hand up. Okay. It seems we're not getting Brain. Meanwhile, Benjamin's hand is up. Benjamin, please, let's go.
All right, thank you very much once again, Doc. I would like to make some submission on the item F that says you should pay attention to all learners, especially girls and students with special needs, and ensuring their progress.
Okay.
I think when we're talking of special needs, one area that is very subtle when it comes to students with special needs has to do with students from broken homes. In fact, with my experience with the teenagers at the SHS level, you realize that most of the learners who tend to kind of pose a lot of challenges in the classroom environment or the learning environment has to do with learners from broken homes. Because of some kind of psychological problems or situations that they have experienced from their home, they tend to have some kind of behavioral challenges when it comes to learning, and it's connected to their contribution or learning experiences in the classroom. So when we are looking at students or learners with special needs, then such ones, I would want to classify them special needs, but not really some kind of physical disability or whatsoever, because what they might be suffering from would be emotional or psychological problems that affects their learning. And then the point made mention to girls. There was this scenario that or a situation where I had to handle female students throughout the class, is female class. And most of the time you enter the classroom and majority of them are down with their heads on the table. And when you ask them, the response will be that they are not well, they are sick and stuff like that. So with that kind of learners, who we know girls normally go through their periods every month, and it's possible that some of them may have some kind of cramps and other things that may be distracting them from participating fully in the classroom. So I would also want to consider those ones as learners with special needs. At that point in time, they have something that you need to pay attention to. And if you don't include them or devise strategy to help them to participate in the classroom, whatever is going to take place in the classroom at that time, they will be there, but they will never grasp any concept, or there is not going to be any learning that will take place. So I just want to draw attention to the fact that there are some people that we haven't included officially as learners with special needs, and they include persons with coming from broken homes and may be having a lot of emotional distress. There may be learners coming from very poor background, and that affects them because they look at the other colleagues and they are not like them, and it affects their learning and all that. So if we begin to, like we said earlier on, that you need to get to know your learners. Once you have that formal relationship, or you establish the relationship and you get to know their background, you will know that this learner is from a broken home and he's having this kind of psychological issues, and I'll need to do extra work or pay much attention to him, and then draw his attention to some activities in the class and include him in the learning process. If that is not done, we are not going to achieve effective teaching and learning. So those ones will also need to be considered as learners with special needs, and we treat them as such. Thank you.
Thank you for your interesting submission. Please, any other on the point that have been raised regarding the standard and the teaching and learning? It talks about employing variety of instructional strategies that encourages student participation in critical thinking, pays attention to all learners, especially girls. That's what Kwasi has spoken to. Then employ instructional strategies, blah, 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 blah. So please, any explanation regarding that, giving specific example in your class or case? Are you there?
Am I permitted to share some experience?
Why not? Why not? You're welcome.
Concerning the employing variety of instructional strategies. Like I said about the girls' class before, one thing happened at a time where I went to the class, and virtually one person just said, today we are not interested in learning anything. And the whole class supported that learner. And they started shouting, we will not learn, we will not learn, we will not learn. So whatever I prepared for the lesson, I'll have to come out with a different strategy. What saved me at a point was being able to negotiate, knowing very well that teaching and learning is student-centered. So I said, okay, so what do you want to do? And eventually the person who said, we were not interested in learning, or we are not interested in learning, responded that they want to go to a place called Y. There is a place in the school where the boys normally go there, they hide there, and they do all sort of vices instead of coming to class. And they call the place Y. So they said they wanted to go to the Y. And I said, well, why would they want to go to the Y? Said they don't know there. And once she said they don't know there, the whole class was in support. Yes, sir, we'll go to Y, we'll go to Y, we'll go to Y. So, okay, fine. If you're going to go to Y, then we are going to Y as a form of nature's walk. And we are going to explore that Y as an environment in the school community. Once we get there, you make sure you pick any interesting object from the Y. And when you come back to the classroom, you're going to discuss about why you pick the objects and what you can use it for as an object that you can develop some kind of creative thing from it. And then we'll print the motive out of that. And they agreed. And so we went to the Y, and it was a very wonderful expedition. By the time we came back, they were tired because it's a valley. You have to descend through a valley, and then when coming, you climb up. But at the end of the day, everybody was able to pick something from the Y, and it helped us to build the next lesson that we were supposed to even teach initially. We were able to build it up better. So in looking at or thinking about the learners, you always need to have that kind of variety of instructional strategies so that we can encourage the learners to participate in our lesson. If I were to have said that, no, you won't go to Y, you are coming to treat this, and you insist and you go about the teaching, trust me, nobody will even learn anything. They will be there, but they wouldn't be there. So that's what I want to talk about.
Okay, thank you so much. And it also seems that almost all the points, the other, we have spoken about them already, but in a different point, like employ a variety of instructional strategies. We have dealt with them in the subsequent stuff. Pay attention to all learners, especially girls. Madam Margaret Asabia spoke about that. Then employ instructional strategies appropriate for mixed ability. Nentri and others dealt with that. And so we'll move to the next point, which is assessment. Remember, we are still under professional practice. And under professional practice, we have what we call managing the learning environment, teaching and learning, and assessment. So we are now on assessment. That is the last point, and after which we'll bring this discussion to a close. So under assessment, what is expected? The teacher needs to integrate a variety of assessment modes into teaching to support the learning. Besides, it listens to learners and gives constructive feedback, identifies and remediates learners' difficulties or misconception, referring learners whose needs lie outside the competencies of the teacher. Right? Then keeps meaningful records of every learner and communicate progress clearly to parents and learners. Demonstrate awareness of national and school learning outcomes of the learners. And then uses objective criterion referencing to assess learners. Honorable members, these are the last points under assessment. So let's deal with them quickly so that we can bring this session to a close. Now I'm going to invite participants to deal with it. Yes. So let's go to Jan. Jan, which one are you dealing with? Yeah, Jan, we are listening.
Doc, I will first deal with the P.
Okay.
Which states that teachers should use objective criterion referencing to assess learners.
Okay.
And I think the objective criterion referencing is about the various objectives that a teacher has set for the various contents we teach. So in your assessments, it should be based on the objectives and the content you have taught and nothing more or less. And let's take, for instance, you have taught teachers how to, students, how to knead clay. And at the end of the day, you set questions that borders on modeling. Actually, the two does not match in any way. So the point P is dealing with such instances.
Okay, are you done?
Yes, I'm done with the P.
Okay, Okay, thank you very much for that. So as he rightly said, criterion referencing to assess learners. If you have taught a student specific thing, you have set objective or set of standards that you want the student to get. If you look at the new curriculum, we have digital literacy, critical thinking, and a whole lot of standards, about 6 of them, leadership competencies, whatever, and then creative and critical thinking. So if whatever you are teaching, you want the child to get to that particular standard, you are supposed to assess the child based on that standard. Not teaching one thing and then get the assignment is also on one thing, because you want to maybe get them difficult questions so that they may not perform or whatever. I don't know why, but that's it. Yeah, let's move to the other points. Let me call, let me see. Now, Asenso, please, which of the points are you dealing with? Asenso, mute your microphone and speak.
Keep meaningful records of every learner and communicate progress clearly to parents and learners.
Okay.
This is vital because it may happen that just like the case, what happens to all of us, that we are now using virtual learning. And we were asked to also bring assessment on the students. Therefore, if we were able to keep meaningful records without exams, you cannot even provide some records to the authorities. The same way, keeping good record, meaningful records does not mean only the exams. Whatever goes on, you put into consideration, and also systematically to be able to track either the child is also maybe improving or not. So that when you keep those meaningful records, it will inform as to how to handle the children day in, day out. I think that is what I can also say about the records keeping.
Okay, thank you so much. Now we move to Oboku Edusei. Oboku Edusei, can you talk to us? Which of the points are you dealing with? Whilst we are struggling to, Oboku, can you hear us now?
Hello.
Hello, Oboku, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you, please.
Okay, so which of the points are you dealing with?
Yeah, there was one which was talking learners.
This one?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, can you see the screen?
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay, so please deal with any of them that you want to. Not necessarily what is on the screen.
So I wanted to, yes, please. Please, as I wanted to talk about the constructive feedback one.
Okay, so please deal with it.
Yes, sir. So the issue is that, you see, most of the time we say practice makes perfect, but the thing psychologists say it's not just practice that makes perfect, it's practice with feedback. Because if you make me do something and you don't give me feedback, whether I was able to do it or I did not do it well, I wouldn't know. And for that matter, when our learners are to do certain things, or if even they are student teachers and we make them do certain things, we should give them feedback, which is constructive, which is going to be in the form of growth mindset, not fixed thing, so that they will know whether what they did was the correct thing, or if it's even not the correct thing, what should do they do next time, so that they'll be able to at least catch up or get the information that was done. That is what.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Opoku. We'll now move to Brain. Brain, your point, please.
Oh, okay. Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add to what the previous speakers have said. We need to start practicing peer assessment, so that when we do that, experience tells that sometimes the teacher facilitates, and then when we ask for explanation from our friends, we conclude by saying, so when we do peer assessment, we will know how the learner wants to learn, and then their friends will help them learn. We can take a cue from, there's a popular video online called Austin's Butterfly. They had a drawing class where the peers taught Austin how to draw a butterfly. It's a very rich peer assessment where we can all start practicing in our classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, any other, contribution on any of the points? Any other contribution? Okay, now I'm going to my final contribution. I'm going to Dana Bridget to to give us his contribution before we go. So Dana, unmute your microphone and let's go if you are listening to us. Hello, Dana, can you hear us? Okay, we don't seem to get her. So we will move to Nenchue. Nenchue, please, your contribution.
Hello, Doc. I'm sorry, I was setting up my projector for a lesson, and so
okay.
I missed. Yes, I missed this part of the assessment.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But what I wanted to say about assessment is that now assessment forms an integral part of every lesson we deliver, and so we should adhere to the new assessment techniques that have been introduced by NACA. I think Olele will help us here. Assessment for assessment as an assessment
of.
Assessment of. And so I think that in the classroom situation, teachers must always use these assessment techniques. We must use our lessons as a ways of measuring students' learning. And so when we do that, we will be able to help the students and know what they really need. Just as Dr. Aqua initially indicated, we can also use assessment as a diagnostic tool, to find out what students need to learn, where their weaknesses and strengths are, so we can build upon them. Doc, this is what I want to say. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for your contribution and discussion. In fact, today we have changed the mode of delivery. We were all parts of the discussion. We're all sharing views, because I was just facilitating, inviting your comment. And I think I've really enjoyed it. Your contribution has helped shape and made things better, and the explanation becomes clear for all of us. Once again, I thank you all for taking a great deal of your time to join us on this webinar series, Preparing for Promotion. And today we looked at applying the National Teaching Standards guidelines in our classroom and then outside the classroom. Next week, God willing, today is Tuesday. Thursday, we'll continue with the webinar, and different presenters will come. And I entreat you all to share the link to others so that they can join, and together we share ideas for the betterment of the very job we are doing, the teaching profession. On this note, thank you once again. And so we'll meet on Thursday. It's bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you too. Bye.
Comrade Asenso. Oh, my brother. I hope you're doing well with the family.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Attack for Christmas party, fine.